A city in Illinois is considering forcing landlords to get a license and take training in order to rent their properties. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting topic for you today, and it's coming out of Illinois. And what this little city is trying to do is require a license in order to be a landlord within the city. Now, I have heard of obviously rental registrations and, having to register your property with the city, but an actual license as though, you are a real estate agent just so that you can rent out a property. This is a huge, reach. It is a huge reach, and I don't think that it is necessary at all. I think it's very unfair to property owners and landlords, okay? Imagine you're a person who, has a spare bedroom in your house, and you just want to rent out that spare bedroom. Now you got to go down to City Hall, pay them hundreds of dollars to get your license, maybe go to a training that lasts 6 weeks, just so you can rent out a spare bedroom? That's stupid, okay? And this city, if they can't figure that out, you know what? They need to get their heads out of their butts, because I completely disagree with this, okay? People have been renting out properties. Small-time landlords such as myself have been renting out properties for as long as there's been housing, which is pretty much forever, okay? And the training, it doesn't matter if they think you need training or not, okay? It takes away people's property rights when you tell them that they can't do what they want to do with their property in terms of renting it out, okay? So yeah, I'm hot about this topic because maybe it could pass somewhere else. If other cities, they see this sort of thing that's going on, they'll be like, hey, maybe we should pass something similar here. And that is very bad for landlords overall. Now, before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, okay? What do you think of landlords, just private landlords? I'm not talking about people who are managing properties for other people, acting as a property manager, but I mean people who own their own properties, such as myself, right? Having to go get a license and get training just so they can rent out their own property. What do you think of that? Okay? I already told you what I think. It's dumb. Okay? It's dumb as hell, and I don't want to see it pass, but you never know. Okay? You never know what's going to happen in a very anti-landlord place. And it sounds like this city where this is proposed is a pretty anti-landlord place. So, this article is coming from the evanstonroundtable.com, and it says, city may require licensing for landlords despite some opposition. I guarantee there is more than some opposition. I don't think any landlord would want to have to go get a license. But let's see what the article says about it, okay? At Wednesday night's meeting of the Planning and Development Housing Subcommittee, City Council members discussed the possibility of installing a licensing requirement for Evanston landlords. The city currently uses a rental registration system that requires landlords to register all of their rental properties every year. A licensing program, though, would require landlords to go through training to get a license to run rental properties. So yeah, this city already has a rental registration. So landlords are probably already paying the city a fee every year for their rental units. Imagine you own 100 units, each one costs $100 a year. Well, you do the math. Okay, that's 10 grand that you have to pay the city every single year. Now they're going to throw on top of that a licensing requirement just for you to rent out your own properties. Now, how, first of all, okay, at least I took real estate classes, okay? I did. I was going to go and become a real estate agent for a while, and I changed my mind about it. But real estate agents who are managing property for other people, if you're managing a property for someone else, you have to be a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Nebraska. Okay, and I'm pretty sure it's similar to that in almost every other state, okay? But when you're managing your own property, then you don't have to follow any of those requirements. Okay, so you're able to self-manage, and not have a license, not have to have any of that training. But I understand their logic. Okay, one or two bad landlords and they don't know what they're doing and they can break the laws, break the rules, etc. But here's what my issue is, right? Whenever these cities, instead of just saying, hey, we're going to go after those one or two out of 100 great, there's 100 great landlords out there. There's one bad one. And instead of just going after that one person and saying, hey, here's a fine, you're doing this wrong and you need to correct this or we're going to keep coming after you. They go after all 100 and say, well, screw all of you. You all have to now get licensed. You all have to jump through all these hoops. I'm not a fan of a lot of licensing anyway, especially, there are so many useless licenses out there. Oh, you have to have a license so you can cut somebody's hair. Really? You got to have a license to cut hair? Meanwhile, any moron with, $20 bill can go down to Walmart, buy some clippers, and cut hair. And what are they going to do? Are they going to come and fine you? No. I mean, it is so ridiculous that they require licenses and all, training to be a barber or to be a landlord or, for whatever other ridiculous little thing. To me, you know what it seems like? It seems like the government overreach where they're trying to come in there and they are trying to regulate everything just so they can make extra money. And, I don't like it. Okay. I'm a small government person. I believe that the government should keep their hands off. And if something needs regulation because it's so dangerous, like nuclear energy, then that's completely different. But when we're talking about a landlord who's renting out a property that they own, then that is very easy to do, and that is not something that requires government regulation. So I'm against it. But let me keep going with this article because, it's very frustrating. Council members Bobby Burns, 5th Ward, and Devin Reed, 8th Ward, showed strong support for a move to licensing, arguing that the system would improve the enforcement of property maintenance requirements and force more landlords into compliance with local codes. Evanston's housing staff members, who helped prepare a memo for the subcommittee on the rental systems used in similar cities around the country, said the current registration system is not effectively keeping landlords in line. Angel Schnurr, the property maintenance supervisor for the city, added that Evanston has 3 property inspectors on staff right now and 2 vacancies waiting to be filled, which means that we are constantly chasing the complaints filed by tenants about different properties. Yeah, to me, it once again, look at all. Oh, we have to keep all these people working. That's basically what they're doing. Okay. Now, are there actual, good reasons? Bad. There are a few, very few bad landlords out there. But like I said, all of the good landlords, the 99% of landlords who are good, are the ones who are paying for these property inspectors. Okay, it isn't the few bad ones. The few bad ones are, meanwhile, they're not changing anything they're doing. They don't care nothing about rental registration. They don't care nothing about licensing. And guess what? If they were to pass a license law, the bad landlords probably wouldn't even get the license. They would just keep renting their place out without a license. And what are you going to do? Shut them down? They don't care. These are bad landlords, okay? It's like the whole premise behind gun control, right? They're like, we're going to put all these laws in place to, hopefully prevent, gun crime, right? But you don't realize that criminals don't care about those laws. They, if they cared about the laws, they wouldn't be criminals. So they're going to go and keep committing crime regardless. And that's the same thing with the very few bad landlords out there. Meanwhile, all the good landlords, have to suffer under all these new regulations and licensing requirements and restrictions and rental property registration and, permitting and all this crap, bureaucratic crap that they put in place on top of it. Then they come back, right? And this is the funny part to me. They'll come back later, and you'll see this in California and New York, etc. And they'll be like, well, why are rents so high here? Why are the landlords, why do they have to raise rent? Why aren't the developers building new properties here? Well, they don't understand that all of their rules, all of their regulations, all of their permitting and licensing, etc., have pushed people out of the business. They push people out of their city, and they don't want to invest there anymore. They don't want to have rental properties in their city. They don't want to build new rental properties in their city because they get punished by that local government. They get punished by the bureaucracy. So they move along, they move somewhere else. This is one little city. It's a suburb of Chicago, right? It's one little city. And guess what will happen? The developers will move right next door where there isn't a licensing law. The landlords will move right next door. People will turn their units. They'll be like, hey, I just don't want to deal with this. So I'm going to, convert this over to condos. People in single family homes will be like, I don't want to deal with this. So I'm going to sell to owner occupants. But the end result is there will be less units available for the people who need them. And the city will end up losing, all because of the rules they put in place. And they don't seem to understand that. So interesting story. I hope this doesn't pass. I hope this doesn't spread if it does pass, because I don't want to see any sort of ridiculous licensing requirements to manage your own properties anywhere else.